Hi, my name's Trish. Today I'm going to review the Cricut Explore electronic cutting machine. This is an independent review. I purchased the machine on sale from Amazon.com. I tend to use these machines in a slightly different way from other craftspeople because of the fashion focus. What I use these electronic cutters for is to cut out placement prints. So I can use them to either cut out the negative for a screen print screen, or I can cut out an image on a heat set iron-on vinyl transfer. And so that way I can play with the size of my print and the placement of my print on a garment before I send the file to a screen printer. And that can save some quite costly mistakes if the print is too small or too large, for example. So let's get started. And here's the machine as it came in the post from Amazon. So we'll open it up and see what's inside. So it's nicely put together, the box. It's very straightforward to open and it's quite robust, so we can use it again for storage. And the first thing we see when we open the cupboard is very straightforward labeling, which I think is amazing. This booklet says start here. Pretty obvious this is the first thing you open. So inside there are tips and tricks, what to do with the machine, the manuals, what's in your box, and the warranty. And the other thing that I found quite nice about this machine is that it came with a sample box of project materials. They're not extensive, but they're a nice idea to get you started. So inside that we have some heavy card stock. This one came with black and green. We had some multicolored sticker paper, some vinyl, and some more heavy card stock, some plain paper, some duct tape, which I assume is another sticker sample. All of this is detailed in the product materials that comes with it. And there was also a small sample of heat set material, which I used as my first project, which if you read my review you'll see what I did with it. So the first project I did was actually cutting out some heat set vinyl, and what I found was the actual setting on the silhouette was too deep, so it cut right through. With heat set, this is what I should have ended up with. Instead it did cut a little too deep, so I just adjusted the setting. As you can tell, I was going to do a heat set for one of my kids' coaches. Okay, so delving further into the box, it's very well packaged. If you open this up here, we can see the 12-inch by 12-inch mat that comes standard with the machine. It's a sticky mat. I see you can also purchase icing mats, so if you want to use your Cricut to cut out sheets of pre-made icing to do cakes with, sounds like a fun project. Okay, so this is the bag that comes with the Cricut, and I keep my Cricut in the bag at all times, and I tend to keep it stored away. And here's the Cricut machine itself. So I'll just take that out. And also inside the box there is a smaller box containing the cords for the machine. Now I'm in New Zealand, which is the home of Sir Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, and also Lord. So the cords that came with this machine from America, one of them doesn't suit our power, so I did have to get another one. So this is the cord I had to replace. If you can tell here, the plug setting is different from the US plug setting. But other than that, the cords all come standard with the machine. So we have the transfer cord between the machine and the computer with the USB. There's the power adapter. And there's the power cord I switched out. In addition to this, the machine comes with a grey pen if you're into the craft thing and you do the drawing, and here is the blade. So here's the machine unpacked from the box, And before I go any further, the sample materials do come with an instruction sheet in different languages, which is very handy if you haven't used this before. So I actually really like the style of this machine. I think it's very good looking, very simple to use. You simply press the open button and it opens up to show you what's inside. So there's two spaces labelled A and B, and the guide will tell you that A is for the pen and B is for the blade. I'll just show you the blade in close-up. Now, I like this blade because if you push the end of it, the blade will extend. So it does protrude a little bit beyond it, but I like this, it saves damage. So to insert the blade, it's very straightforward. All you do is open this up, pop the blade in and close it again, and that's it, ready to go. So let's look at powering this machine up and I'll show you how to use it. So if we turn it around, we have the power cord area here in the transfers. So for me, you take the cord and pop it here, and then just pop that into the USB of your computer. And then power supply goes in here, and I just take my converter like so and then plug the other end into the wall. Now when you're using this machine, make sure you have plenty of room behind the machine to allow the mat to go forwards and backwards. So let's just get this set up ready for a standard heat transfer. To do this, we're going to remove the adhesive off our mat. And I'm going to put some black iron-on transfer on the mat. And when you put it on the mat, you'll notice it's got a dull side and a shiny side, and it always goes shiny side down. And also when we're doing cuts, we want to ensure that the cuts are made in reverse. So I'm not going to be too particular about where I stick this down. I'm just going to do a nice simple cut to start with. So once you've installed the software, you'll have an icon on your desktop or your laptop, and it's simply a matter of double clicking on it to open up the Cricut design space. You'll see in my written review my personal opinions about the design space, but it is very straightforward to send a cut through. This is a cloud-based application, so whatever you put in here I think gets defaulted public. I tend to change it to private because I like my things to be for me. So you'll come up with a home screen, and what we want to do is to create a new cut. So on the upper part, I'm just going to click on File, New, and when you do this, this will bring up a blank canvas. Now this canvas is an imperial system, which is inches. I like to work in centimetres, the metric system, but I was brought up in that generation of both, so either doesn't bother me too much. So what I'm going to do is just send a cut to the cutter, which I could use for one of my projects. So there are various icons on the left hand side of the screen which you can run through. The first is Insert Images, so you can go in and choose an image from the paid ones, or you can find an image that you have uploaded in this file here. Upload images is how you can upload your own files, and some of mine are sitting under there. There's a basic load and a vector upload. Now the basic load is brilliant, the basic upload, love it, great for straightforward black and white cuts. It operates similar, I think, to the brother Scan and Cut. So any image you have which is black and white, you can just scan it, set it straight through as a JPEG or a PNG, It also accepts BMPs or GIFs, and it converts it very simply. The vector upload is, for example, if you use Adobe Illustrator programs, that sort of thing, or Photoshop, you can upload a pre-existing design as an SVG or a DXF file, which is an amazing way of doing your own designs and getting them cut. There are standard shapes you can insert, good if you're into crafting, and there's an add text button. And if you add text button, so I need to do another coat, and I need to do another cut for putting on the Coach iron-on set to one of my children's kids' Coaches t-shirts. So I'm just going to tap in COACH there, and that defaults to the font there. If you want to change the font, you can use fonts that you have in your system, very handy to have. You just simply highlight it and edit it, and you can choose from system fonts, the Cricut fonts. It's great, you can use embedded fonts off your own computer. Love it, very straightforward. I'll try this college font here, and you can upload it, make it bigger if you want, just up there like so. And if you're not happy with the positioning on the screen, you can just drag and drop that to wherever you like. You can change the size of it. If you know, for example, you want this cut to be 2 inches high, you can simply make it change position here. You can rotate it, you can do pretty much anything you want to do here. Another thing I quite like about this is there is a canvas option down the bottom. So what you can do is, if for example you're putting this Coach cut onto a t-shirt, you can select a canvas and you'll see what it's going to look like when it's cut, and it proportionally helps you out quite a lot. So let's just go back to the text file. Oh, we don't want that anymore, so we'll just kill that one there. So that's a bit small for me. I chose 2 inches in width. I actually meant to make it 2 inches in height. So if you want to lock the ratio of height to width, you just leave the little lock bar. If you want to play around with the proportions, you can, say for example, make that wider rather than taller. I'm happy the way it is. Now the other thing is, when you're doing a heat set transfer, you always need to flip horizontally, which is mirror this image. And if you forget to do it here, it's not a problem, because the machine will tell you to later on. Right, so let's send this cut to the cutter. The first thing we need to do is go to the machine and turn it on. Nice, very straightforward process. Makes a few noises. Right, and we go to our software and click the green Go button top left. Now when we do this, one thing I don't like about the software is that it will reposition the writing to wherever it feels it will optimize the cut, which means reduce wastage. So this is going to cut the equivalent of top left on my Cricut board. So what you can do is you can say, okay, well, it's going to cut out here. So if you've just got a scrap of anything left, you can actually position that scrap anywhere you like on your cutting mat, and you just need to come across here and you can click and drag and drop and position that cut anywhere you like, which is quite a handy tool to have. But for now, I'll just leave it in the top left. We go to the bottom right of the screen to the Go button, which is there. And let's just get started with this. Okay, if you can see, there's a flashing button, and that's the load mat button. So as long as you make sure your material you're cutting is nice and firmly stuck to the mat. I like the fact that there's guides here for this mat. It's brilliant, you can't go wrong. You insert there, make sure you hold this. I have found sometimes it won't if you just like put your hand here, it won't grab it properly. But if you just hold it up slightly and push the button like that, the machine will set itself ready for cutting. In a few seconds the next button will flash, the C button, which means the cut, and the cut will start. And the machine just does its job. I haven't yet worked out whether or not you can tell the cutter where you want the cut to start. As far as I'm aware, the machine will work it out for you. So you don't have that option. It's a small thing, but sometimes it's easier to tell a machine to cut further away from you. It's a quiet machine, I will say that. And I'll just let it go ahead and do its thing. So now the cut's finished, there's a flashing light on the screen which tells us to unload the mat. And now I'm going to go ahead and weed that out. So then there's just a nice green button to say finish at the bottom of your computer screen. And here's the cut. This is the way you'd press it down onto the fabric. And of course it was cut in reverse. If you send it to the cutter and forget to reverse it, there it is a note up the top of the screen telling you if you want to mirror it there, just in case you haven't flipped it horizontally. But it is a nice clean cut, it makes a nice job of it. I have to say I'm very impressed with the manufacturers of this machine. They've eliminated the majority of the steps that you could go wrong when you're doing things. I'm going to say it's basically foolproof. Nothing's totally foolproof, but they've done their best in eliminating all the steps where you could go wrong. So well done, awesome machine.